Bear with me for a second. Okay. Um, I don't know how this is gonna look, but whatever. I'm gonna, yeah, let me make this a little bigger. That's what she said. Okay, here we go. All right. I wrote this out because I have the worst impromptu ability. I cannot extemporize for shit. All right, so this is the introductory video to the series that well, I've already started it because I've already made the first philosophical video, which is the second video in the series. This will be the first. So my name is Carlos Magina. You could see it down there on the bottom here. Can I point to it? Over here, right? I was thinking about blocking it, but as I said in my other video, I don't know, like, I would have to look up how to do it, and my video editing skills are like Neanderthal level. So yeah, I didn't want to bother. I don't think anybody's like nothing. I don't think I have to worry about somebody like knowing my name here on YouTube. Okay, so the aim of this series is twofold. One, it'll push me to do philosophy. I have a background. I have a BA in philosophy, and I did quite well in my undergraduate program, let's call it, and I could have gone to a good university. I want to say, like, if you know philosophy departments, like if you know the Leiter report, like it's like the most popular ranking, like I would say, and I'm saying this based on my my GPA and my ability as compared to my classmates. I would have gone to I could have gone in like to a top 20, 25 university PhD program had I decided to pursue philosophy. Yeah, I think that's fair. That's a fair assessment. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't intend this as credentials. I'm just giving you some background story. All right. So the aim of this series, by the way, is to motivate me to do philosophy, which I tend to not do for a long time. I'll go a long time without doing any kind of philosophy. I find philosophy rewarding, and the questions are interesting, which is what drew me to philosophy in the first place, but tiring and not enjoyable per se. Like if you've ever run like long distance, like if you know people who do marathons, and while you're doing a marathon, like I used to run pretty long distances, but yeah, it's not enjoyable in the moment, right? You're like, hey, you're in pain and you're pushing through pain and you're taxing your body, but when you're finished, you feel really good, right? You feel really good about your accomplishment. You feel really good about what you did, and you actually strengthen yourself. Philosophy, I find similar. While I'm doing philosophy, I am not enjoying myself, right? This is not Chuck E. Cheese fun time. This is like, I'm struggling. This is frustrating. I feel stupid. Well, I don't feel stupid, but you get those moments where you're like, yeah, things don't make sense. You're struggling, and it's no joy, no joy. But when you do work through problems, or you gain a new level of understanding, or a new level of understanding of what you're reading about or what you're puzzling over, then you feel good about yourself. And if you do any kind of worthwhile work in philosophy, if you produce anything like good, which is I think rare, yeah, you feel especially good, right? Okay, so anyway, so the second thing is, and this kind of aligns with the way I do philosophy anyway. I tend to write in a very wordy, verbose, non-jargon laden way, like the term "dumb down" was invented for me. I dumb down everything, right? So I speak in layman's terms. One, I find that philosophical jargon is mostly above my head, and when it isn't, I avoid it anyway because it makes it hard for me to understand what I'm talking about. So I avoid it just because, for clarity's sake. So, and good philosophy is clear, right? Good philosophy is clear. If you're not clear, it's probably you have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah, and so then I apply this to my own philosophical writing. Like if it's not clear to like the average person, not necessarily like philosophically informed person, then I think I haven't done a good enough job in explicating. Okay, so that's the main purpose of this series, is to motivate myself to do philosophy and to present you guys what. And I find many people have philosophical interests, even though, you know, obviously we all run the gamut. Well, not we all, but we run the gamut from like being professional philosophers to just like people who like to read like Sophie's Choice and consider that like their only experience with philosophy. Okay, now, as I have limited time, interests, and abilities, I'm going to have to limit the topics which I talk about. And so obviously I'm going to talk, well, not obviously, but I'm going to talk about stuff that is I find the most intriguing, the most rewarding to talk about, and that I have some ability to talk about. Like, I think it would make no sense for me to like make videos about philosophy of mind or quantum or philosophy of science or like like deontic logic, fuzzy logic, three-valued logic, when like my level of understanding of those topics is minimal, embarrassingly. Well, maybe not embarrassingly, but it's pretty bad. Anyway, so I'm not, you're not going to find those papers here. You're not going to find me talking about topics within those fields or on those matters here. What does interest me, what has always interested me, and what I think I have some ability in is epistemology, philosophy of language. Those are my top two, I'd say. I don't have a PhD. If I had a PhD, my area of expertise would be those two areas, if I can say that, if that sounds fair to say. It's just to give you an idea, like basically what I like to do more of and what I'm better at doing. Next in line would be metaphysics, and then like the history of analytic philosophy. So history of analytic philosophy, you can probably go back. It's kind of questionable how far you would really want to go back. Like some people say, like you got to go all the way back to Aristotle. I'm like, okay, seems a bit much. Or maybe Bolzano. Okay, Bolzano seems fair. Or just maybe Frege, right? Okay, Frege. Like so, but for me, I like to read Bertrand Russell, Gottlob Frege, and Ludwig Wittgenstein, right? So yeah, so Wittgenstein being one of my top three favorite philosophers of all time. I would have to put Nietzsche, which is like, which will be surprising because like I'm just trained in an analytic tradition, but we know what we mean. And before actually backstory, like my interest in philosophy was through reading Nietzsche. I read a ton of Nietzsche, The Gay Science, Beyond Good and Evil, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Human After Human, Will to Power, and then I dabbled in, because it's aphoristic mostly, so I dabbled in other of his works. The Ecce Homo or Ecce Homo, I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway, yeah. So Nietzsche was my entry drug into philosophy, and then I'm like, I'm gonna go to college and study Nietzsche. I'm a kick ass, study Nietzsche, and then I went to UCLA where we do no Nietzsche. There's no Nietzsche. I took one Nietzsche class, and it was in the history of in the history class. It was German history, something like that. Anyway, it was a great class. I think it was Professor Kowalik, great teacher on Nietzsche. Anyway, yeah. So all my background is analytic philosophy. I had great lectures from Professor Andrew Shue on Wittgenstein. I had great lectures on Russell and Frege by David Kaplan. I remember there's Professor Lawrence. I think it was Gavin Lawrence. He taught. I took a class on Aristotle, but like I did really poorly. I didn't really do my readings in that class. I think I had like a B- in the class. It was pretty bad. But I feel like my education at UCLA, the way they teach you to write philosophy papers at UCLA, I've always liked their pedagogy. Now I've heard others complain that like UCLA graduates aren't the best graduates to like admit into your PhD programs because their way of doing philosophy is not like, I think, like the mainstream way. But as far as, yeah, and this is just hearsay, but like I've always thought like they trained you how to do philosophy rigorously there, and yeah, I feel like I got a great education uh, at UCLA. Okay, so um, where was I? Oh yeah, so those are the fields that you're going to find me doing videos on. Um, Mostly, I want to tackle famous philosophy papers. So for like the first video I've already made, I take on Edmund Gettier or Gettier's is Justified True Belief Knowledge paper. It's 2.5 pages long. I recommend you read it. It's been like, it's one of the seminal works in epistemology in the last 100 years. I think I said 200 years in my video, like I misspoke. But anyway, but that might be true too. Yeah, so then, and then and then I have plans to do articles by Frege, like in the Begriffsschrift, if I'm not mispronouncing it, Sinn und Bedeutung, right, on sense and reference. Yeah, and then of course papers by Russell, talk about Russell's atomism, talk about Wittgenstein's atomism, talk about their logicist program, Russell's and Frege's logicist programs, and talk about, of course, Wittgenstein, the Tractatus, philosophical investigations, not the whole books. Obviously, I can't do videos on the whole books, but certain questions, right? And certain things that I think that like that they taught us, that, or at least if they made progress, right? Which is usually all like we can ask for. Yeah, so those are the main things. Now, when it comes to ethics, I'm not well read on ethics. But I do have my own ethical view, which is a moral particularist view, which I've developed over the years. Like I've tinkered with it. I've like, as far as like, what am I committed to? What do I believe in? What makes the most sense to me? And yeah, and so it turns out that it's a form of moral particularism. And I know like Jonathan Dancy is, like, to me, is the most famous philosopher that espouses moral particularism. I've read a little bit of Dancy, and I think like his view and my view don't align exactly, but okay, but we're both technically moral particularists. I don't know if I'll do any videos on that. I might do one, but it's not really going to be like taking on anybody's view. It'll probably just be me explaining my view. Okay. And then, yeah, so I'm going to explicate papers. I'm going to do it in layman's terms as best as I can. And then I'm going to offer my criticism of the arguments present there, right? Say what I like, say what I don't like, right? And then hopefully learn lessons from those criticisms, right? Sometimes it takes me like, sometimes I'll think about a topic, I'll write a paper, and I always have to write. If I don't write, I'm not doing philosophy. I'll write a paper, and then I'll let it sit there for a few days. I'll go back to it, and then I'll find that like I don't like the way I phrase one thing, so I rephrase it because it's not as clear as it should be. So I'll clarify what I meant, or I'll even change something because I think it's not exactly right. Yeah, and then so over time the paper like matures, let's say, or like improves with editing and rereading, and then I'm ready to make a video. Like I'll stand behind that paper as far as like, these are my opinions and I can like defend them. And and when I mean defend them, I think like I have, my argument is better than counter arguments, right? So okay, like, yeah, I haven't encountered all the counter arguments, and they're my ideas. I try not to be biased. Like I think I'm a fair and objective judge of arguments. And then I present to you what I think is the more compelling. And like if somebody presents problems for me, like I'm not going to like just ignore that. Like I think I can see when somebody's argument is powerful or when it causes me problems. Like my goal is not here to show that I'm the best philosopher in the world. My goal is to improve at philosophy and to understand the world better. So like, if you can show me the error of my ways, yeah, I'm down for that. So yeah, no, I have no problem as far as I think I have the right attitude when it comes to criticism. Okay, but that doesn't mean that I meekly offer my opinions. No, I offer my opinions in a straightforward manner because it's what I believe. And now, if I don't like, if I'm not 100% behind it, something, or I'm kind of like, I'm just saying like, this is the best explanation, but I'm not really like sold on it. Well, then I'll offer it. I'll qualify it as such, right? Okay. So let me scroll down. Let's see if there's anything I left out, which I usually do, which is why I write these things. Yeah. So lessons learned videos will sometimes follow up critiques because I'll have thought more about my criticism the more, and sometimes something will dawn on me, or something, a new way of explaining it will hit me. And yeah, so I think lessons learned videos help me help me develop as a philosopher, help me develop philosophically. If I say philosopher, I feel like I'm giving myself credit for being like having a PhD, which I'm not pretending to have, right? So yeah, so I think these lesson learned videos are like excellent for my philosophical development. Okay, and yeah, so I've already made the first video. I tackle Edmund Guettier's case 1 from Is Justified True Belief Knowledge. And I plan to make the lesson learned video for that. And then soon after that I will tackle case 2 and my objections to that. Okay. As far as comments, like, yeah, I welcome comments, questions, criticism, clarifications, niceties, pleasantries, name calling, trolling, polemics, whatever. As long as you're not like just being stupid and like reading your stuff is not even worth a chuckle, right? Then like I have no intention of deleting anybody's comments. You're not gonna offend me. My skin is alligator thick. And really, like, I don't know you guys, so, and you don't know me. Like, you're not gonna offend me. And if you show that I'm like mistaken in what I'm saying or what I'm thinking, that doesn't offend me. That doesn't embarrass me. I will welcome such comments. And if you decide to phrase it in some polemical way, or you decide to like throw in a little insult while you like explain how I went wrong, then I'm good with that too. I have no problem with that. Okay, let's see. I think that's it. Like I mentioned Professor Shu, who was my favorite professor at UCLA. He wasn't considered the best philosopher there. Like Tyler Burge was there when I was there. David Kaplan was there when I was there. I think Gavin Lawrence was like considered one of the authorities in ancient philosophy. Like Carriero was there. Like I forget some of the Joseph Almog was there. Joseph Almog, like I never took classes with Almog, but he lectured in a couple of classes sitting in for Kaplan. He gave great lectures. Anyway, so yeah, so that's it. I don't know what else to say. I think maybe I should just end it here. All right, so leave your comments, and yeah, I'll talk to you in the comment section. All right, I'm gonna say peace out, but I gotta do 2 or 3 things before I can actually log out. So peace out and see ya.